What starts out as a very disturbing game, where body horror meets Pac-Man and Q*bert, Stigma quickly showcases a lot more than I bargained for. On this speed pass, we'll take a look at this waking nightmare that's technically free, but will it be worth your time, effort, and night terrors? So, like most games I tend to feature on this show, this floated across my feed on Twitter and YouTube, courtesy of some of the accounts I follow, and almost immediately, everything about it put me on edge. It is not a pleasant game to look at, but there's something that still drove me to wanting to try it out at least, and the game is technically free after all. I still paid $2 for the suggested donation, as I am making a video on this game, and it only seemed fair. Even if I'll likely make a quarter of that back, considering the amount of people who are going to be clicking off of this, or the YouTube content issues that these kind of visuals are going to flag. And can we talk about this look for a second? Like, look at this. Really take it in. It just awakens some serious, uneasy feelings in most of the people who look at it. Many on my stream included, who would normally be fine until just the right something would come along. Be it a stitched-together dual-wielding half-Jesus, this Japanese horror doll head, or... I'm not saying that out loud. I don't even know why I'm showing it. Regardless of how absolutely revolting and unpleasant this is, I can't say that the art talent isn't impressive. There's a lot of crazy detail to this pixel art. The effects and filters are impressive, unsettling, and chaotic. There's blood reds and harsh yellows set against a stark black, and overall the detail, as disgusting as it is on point. The influence is parts Japanese horror and religious iconography, which again, Pistol Jesus should have clued you into that, but it's hardly the only representation. Also, there's nudity if you're really paying attention to certain things. If the graphics aren't unnerving you because you design black metal album covers for a living, the dissonant, discordant music will definitely push you off center. It consists mostly of short loops and just some electronic nightmare noise. Some tracks contain barely audible speech, others just sound like endless electronic screaming, and no track goes over a minute long, so expect some very short loops. The rest of the sound effects are appropriately electronic and strange, but there's something hilarious about a dedicated squeaking button for your character, a noise so adorable that it clashes with everything else. Squeaking won't exactly help you get through stages, so let me explain what will. Basically, the Pac-Man Q*bert description is mildly apt as you have grid-based movement, and the core gameplay concept is to cover every square of open ground. You can move tile by tile or run through quickly, with the risk of missing the area that you need to stop or turn at. When you walk over a tile, you'll leave a semi-transparent red square behind you. If you walk over that square again, it will become a solid red square and you won't be able to pass over it. Cover every bit of black ground at least once and you'll clear the stage. Simple, right? Nah, of course it's not. The paths you have to travel in order to cover all the ground aren't always so simple to cover, and you can easily render the stage impossible to clear. So taking your time and finding the right path will lead you to victory. Right? No, there's a timer on the bottom of the screen in the form of a bar. If you don't clear out the stages, yes, stages plural, before it runs out, you'll lose the level and have to start it over again. There's usually 3 levels a stage, but this can vary, and the last stage in the level isn't always the hardest of the 3. So, figure out the path and rush through as quick as you can, right? Oh my god, yeah, there's hazards, of course there are. These are basically one-hit kills and come in a variety of syringes dropping from above to block your path if they don't outright hit you, mouths that will spit eyeballs downward, creepy doll heads that'll lob eyeballs mortar style to your current location, and... other things? There's even a couple boss-style confrontations, ended with a pill item, and there's some stage hazards on the floor like metal plates that'll detonate if you step on them. There's one power-up in the form of a brain that, once collected, will allow you to absorb one hit, which usually isn't there just to be kind, but mostly as a puzzle mechanic where you'll purposefully have to damage boost through hazards in order to win the level. You have to do all of this in an overarching time limit, so yeah, there's a bit of a challenge to this game, despite its overall short length. There's only 9 stages and a couple bosses, with a 10th, more puzzle-based level that's revealed after finishing the 9th. Finish that stage and... I'm sorry, what? Okay, let me make a slight spoiler pause here. Yes, there is more to this game, which seems to be a popular thing among the free horror indie game scene. But as far as how much more, I'll give you the chance to discover that on your own by letting you bow out now. You know, if you haven't clicked away already because you were so thoroughly disgusted by what you were seeing, I'm technically done talking about the game as its, pardon the pun, main meat is concerned, but there is more to it, and it's not exactly a complete review unless I cover the rest of this stuff. You sticking around? You sure? Alright, let's move on. So when extracting the folder for this game and ignoring the Windows warnings about running executables, you'll see that there's a lot more files than just being able to start Estigma. There's some odd grid images that won't make immediate sense, and a folder containing a few zipped up RAR files that will require a password to extract. The ending screen is your key to unlocking these folders. I'm not going to tell you how to solve them and find these passwords, because that's pretty unnecessary for a review video, but if you want to look them up, they've been cracked pretty hard already. You'll find another folder and some images. In that folder is a Unity game simply titled Play. Clicking that, you'll suddenly be loaded into another game, a fairly basic looking but still 3D game where you're in a school. Searching out things inside these rooms should contain the clues that you need to solve the next images. But let me warn you of something that, once again, I had come across far too often while working in an escape room. Order of operations, while one of the most basic rules of math, isn't the correct answer to this math puzzle. So that's great. Since the developer forgot to excuse his dear Aunt Sally, you'll have to do the equation incorrectly in order to solve it. And this is why we have problems. You'll also find a link and some promo to the dev's other game, Tamashi, which many believe that this game was sort of a promo for, despite that game coming out last year. Once solved and the RAR opened with the password, you will again be given another puzzle to open the last RAR. The Play game comes into use once again, where a special input will take you to a Silent Hill-looking version of the school with a long, dark hallway. Despite all the spooky noises, there are no jump scares. At least I didn't see any. Just get to the end and you'll have the final RAR password, where you'll get access to the OST, which is super cool, a bunch of images with creepy artwork, and another folder containing a short, simple minigame with cool art. I don't believe anything's unlocked from playing all the stages in this game, as every video I've seen on it didn't reveal anything happening after finishing all the difficulty levels, so I wasn't gonna bother to find out. Sorry. That's not to say the ARG ends there, as there's massive messages to solve and decode, and people have found other sequences to input on that Play game to enter even more baffling stuff. There's a rabbit hole to dive through if you really want to, but as far as the main game is concerned, that's all there really is to do. With all of that, I can give my recommendation, which for this game's free price can be taken any way you'd like, because it's not like there's any sort of real commitment. But I feel Caution Plus is a fair look. It's a pretty short game if you don't count the bonus things, and even that doesn't really reveal anything more than some odd stuff for theory crafters and ARG enthusiasts. The base game itself is very, very disturbing though, and I can imagine that being a massive turnoff for more than just a few people. There's a bit of anxiety and frustration built into this game. If you think the game is going to bother you, it's gonna bother you, so I cannot give a 100% go recommendation to this game, as much as I did rather enjoy the base game once I got into it. I'll let you know how the night terrors go.